Oiê, joinha! Welcome to my first international live on this channel. Eric es Viagens e Estudos em espanhol, Viagens e Estudos em português, Travel and Education in English. So, if you don't know me, my name is Eric Santos. I'm professor and researcher in tourism, and I'm just finishing my PhD. And I've been living in Australia for more than 1 year and a half, where I met the the guest of the day. So today I'm gonna talk to a close friend that I made during this period that I have been in Australia. Actually, to be more precise, 6 months in Brisbane. And I met him at the University of Queensland, which is one of the best universities in the world and top four in Australia universities. So it's a pleasure to receive here in my channel Henry Arenas Castro.
Hello everyone.
Bienvenido. Bienvenido.
Ya, bienvenido. Muchas gracias. Muito obrigado por la
Welcome to my
oportunidade.
channel, man. It's a pleasure
Uh,
to have you here.
yeah, no, thank you very much. Yeah, it's a shame that I cannot speak well Portuguese, but eventually,
No,
next
it's all
one will be
right. It's good because
Portuguese.
everyone can understand us now. We are going international on this channel.
Cool.
So yeah, thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for accepting this invitation. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you, to share experience with you. We have been hanging out for a couple of times, and I know how amazing person you are, and how interesting person and intelligent guy you are. So it's very 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 helpful to share your knowledge, your experience in this channel for those who want to pursue in the academic life. So Henry, or Henry, internationally
Henry.
speaking, I'd like you to talk a little bit about your personal life, your background, because you are from Colombia, Medellin, right?
Medellin, yeah.
Medellin. So you graduated in biology in Colombia. And how first of all, how is your life? How was your life in Colombia? How you grew up? You come from a very rich family. You come from a middle class family. You come from a not rich family, a poor family. How is your life? Tell us.
Oh, wow. Okay. How to summarize that? Yeah, as Eric said, I'm originally from Medellin, Colombia. When I was born, was Medellin was considered the most dangerous city in the world because there was this war between the drug lords.
Oh wow.
Everyone probably is familiar to Narcos and Pablo Escobar. That is so sad to say, but yeah, that is like the general background of when I was born and growing up in Medellin. Yeah, it's really nice because Medellin is in the mountains. So pretty much I grew up like going up and down the mountains and surrounded by a huge biodiversity. Yeah, and
Nice.
I think that at the end of the day you get like contact, yeah, yeah,
Is that Amazon
poisoned or
forest as
pierced
well?
by this curiosity. Oh, say again.
Is that Amazon forest as well?
Oh no, I wish. No, it's the Andes,
Oh,
the
okay,
Andes
okay,
Mountains, uh,
okay.
and is yeah, it's a quite tropical city, 25 Celsius degrees all year, and yeah, I come from a very big family, and was really common for us going every weekend to a different stream, creek, just to have a swim.
Nice.
And by doing that, you get familiar slowly with the biodiversity that surrounds you. At that moment, you never realized how unique or how privileged we are, like be surrounded by all this. But but yeah, I think that it produced an imprint on me, of be really keen of
So
studying.
you decided to Well, you did biology, so you studied biology. So you think this influenced you when choosing a course for university? So this like influenced you when you decided
Yeah,
to study
definitely.
biology? Definitely.
Yeah, actually, I was more focused on the mathematical part. I remember that one of the parts that I liked the most at high school is when I learned about Mendel's and the inheritance law, that you can like predict the proportions of a particular allele or a particular gene, and that link of between the biology being kind of a math branch
Okay.
attracted me a lot. And then I just discovered other things that I become really passionate about. But
That's amazing. I was just checking your background, your CV, and I was checking here, like you graduated in biology, and you were in the first class. I mean, you are between the first on your class. Then you applied directly for the PhD there at the University of Queensland. Most of people they don't know that um, you can start a PhD without a master's degree. Most of them they think that you have to finish your bachelor's or whatever your undergraduate, and then you apply for a master, and after the master you can apply for a PhD. So you went directly to the PhD. Do you think this there is a difference to be accepted directly as a PhD student? What is the main criteria, the main requirements?
yeah, I should say that is this condition change from one country to another. Recently, there was an outcry in Twitter, um, focus on the European countries, because some universities like actually require that these students hold a master's degree in order to be accepted to a PhD. That is not the situation here in Australia. You can go directly from your undergrad to a PhD as far as you have research experience. So I didn't know
Mm.
this before coming to Australia, but here students have their bachelor maybe in 3 years, and they have an extra year of research that they call the honors project.
Okay.
And in that final year, they acquire some like research skills, and they would be able to pursue a PhD. But probably you can confirm this if the situation is the same in Brazil, but in Colombia, our undergrads are quite long, and they can
Yeah,
last between 4 and 5 years,
yeah,
and
same in
they
Brazil.
all include a research
Yes,
component.
a research
Everyone has
topic.
to do a thesis or an internship that
Yeah.
requires that. So we, even though our degree is like a bachelor, we have that research experience. And
Okay.
here in Australia, what counts the most is that you can demonstrate that in a particular time during your undergrad or after, you have gone through research. So
Okay.
that most than having a master degree, I think that for the context of Australia is
Hmm.
having experience in
And do
research.
you think, in your case, do you think it was tough decision, or let me rephrase? Do you think you, for you, was hard since you didn't have the master's experience? So, do you think you were mature enough to start the PhD? It was quite hard, or you were kind of ready? Of course, we're never ready for a PhD, but I mean, this process, it was tough, or it was okay for you? It was like gradually okay. It was gradual.
Um, okay, my personal experience was a little bit smooth. Actually, I didn't jump right away after finishing my undergrad to the PhD. I was working
Okay.
around 2, almost 3 years in Colombia in between. First, as a consultant, I'm really passionate about birds. So I was just traveling the country and doing biodiversity assessment as an ornithologist. And then I worked in a governmental institution that do research in biodiversity. So I was not formally enrolled in any degree, but
Mhm.
given the work that I was doing, I gained some skills, or mostly like how to work in a collaborative environment.
Okay.
That depending the personal experience that you might have in your undergrad, you might get experience how to manage or skill a particular machine or an apparatus, but establishing like a network of collaborators, that is something that only like having the direct experience will tell you. So probably that might be the most valuable thing that I learned during those years, and that make really smooth the transition to the PhD.
Okay. So yeah, that's interesting because I think, well, in particular in Brazil, most of people they leave the undergraduation directly to the master, so they get the experience, of course, the research experience during their master's degree, but they from the master they go directly to the PhD. They don't have this job experience, which in your case is very good because you learn not just from academia, but it's important when you go and you do some work. I would say out of the academic scope of the academic pathway. And do you think this gave you value in your CV to be accepted as well for the PhD?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I have had like a personal interest in or involvement in societies and scientific societies, like being part of them, like self-nominated, like to be the secretary or playing different roles as officer,
Yes.
and that is something that gives you a lot of insights of how academy works. And by doing that, you establish a network of collaborators that they will.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think that is a kind of a chain reaction, that once you get one of those experiences, that is going to bring you to the next one and the next one and the next one. You start like building up from that. So I think that being exposed to a community beyond your home university helps a lot. So depending what is the interest of the person, in most countries there are like an evolution society, that is my case, but there might be an ecology society or whatever, sociology society, people in humanity.
Yes.
So getting close to those scientific societies is is great, not only because you learn things, because usually they offer like courses or symposium congress that you can go there, be really happy, learn a lot of things, but at the same time establishing like this kind of connection. And for me was, I feel kind of blessed, because by my participation in these societies, I met a lot of other Colombian researchers that they were
Mm,
doing either their PhDs or they were already professors at universities overseas. And there is this thing that I would say, that Latino thing, that is like tu casa es mi casa, or and they all the
see.
time try to adopt you, because they went through the same process or the same troubles or barriers that you might be experiencing, so they can be empathetic with your situation, and they will try to help you as much as possible. They share with you their motivation letters, or they themselves can offer you recommendation letters. That is one of the common parts of the application process, or give you advice. Oh yeah, probably given what you are interested, you might go to this person, is friend of mine, or I know their work, and you can apply here or there. Oh no, no, please don't go with this person, because yeah,
I
it's like
understand
kind of
that.
things that
So it's
my
very
university
important to establish your network at the very beginning, because if you were there already during the, I don't know if it was during your undergraduation, but I'm also a professor, and sometimes we tell the students, if you guys start, your network starts right here during your undergrad, because you have colleagues, you start to talk to professors, other researchers, we start to increase your network, and that's going to make a huge difference afterwards. So I can see that from your talk. So tell us, you got 9 grants, which is like, wow, 9 grants. It's a lot of. So there are many different type of institutions in your country. The European Society for Evolutionary Biology, American Society of Naturalists, Society for the Study of Evolution. So you got many types of different grants. $1,000, $10,000, 12,000 Australian dollars. So tell us how these grants was. So it seems like it's very easy for you to access these grants. And I can see from your CV that you finished your undergrad in 2014, right?
Yeah, a long time ago.
So no, come on. I can tell mine. So so 2014, then you got a lot of grants after your undergrad. So you got a one during your undergrad, probably, and the majority of them after your undergrad, 2015, 16, 17. So tell us, how was this process? It was very hard, competitive. What's your secret? You got so many.
This might sound like funny,
Or
but yeah,
yes.
yeah. You were saying something? No.
No. Can keep
Okay.
going.
Might
Sorry.
sound funny, but everything started to happen by accident, kind of. And as I was telling you before, like one thing brings to the other one. And I remember that really early in my undergrad, I just decided to go uh, to a conference, and I just really, to be honest, I just wanted to go to that particular city, that is Cali, where the salsa, the capital city of the salsa in the world, and I just really
Okay.
wanted to go there with friends, and I just, oh, come here, uh, and I brought a lot of friends there. And when I was in that conference, was decided that the next version of this conference was going to happen in my hometown in Medellin. But I was not part of the organizers. But and next year, okay, is the turn of people from Medellin to organize that, but no anyone showed up. So I took like the responsibility of organize the next version of that particular symposium that was about
Okay.
evolution. And by doing that, I was moving around a lot. I have to negotiate like with museums, with the university to get access to the classrooms, to the auditoriums. Also, we wanted to bring like international speakers, but we didn't have
Okay.
money. So I started to apply with
Oh,
the mentorship of these other Colombians that were already overseas to
okay.
these societies, to the Society for the Study of Evolution, of the European Society of Evolution, or the American Genetics Association, and so on. So I started like writing these kind of proposals, and they were funded. And so the congress was good. We brought several people overseas. You get to know them, and eventually some of them start like proposing you, oh, do you want to work in this like internship that is like young researcher? And then you
You
or
mean the researchers that you were dealing with?
say again, please.
You mean the researchers that you were dealing with?
Yes, they came later to play a
Okay.
role in my
From your
career.
university.
Yes, but initially it was with the people of my university that start like to get me to know, and they have like some
Okay.
particular positions, and they start offering you that. And but I think that probably the trigger of all the other scholarships is that I saw a call, and that might be a cool take home message that is like, okay, there is a scholarship in Spain, and they pay you everything, because you can see many scholarships or opportunities of exchanges, but most of the time they don't cover the expenses. And if you are a student
Mm,
from an underprivileged social class, as I was, you never can afford going by yourself, paying the tickets and everything. So
okay.
this scholarship was really key, because they covered the tickets and the stay and the food and everything there to stay 3 months in Spain. and and actually
Oh,
I
it's a good
didn't
time. Very
realize
awesome.
when
A
I
good
applied
experience.
to that this scholarship was meant to people that already had a degree. But I was in my undergrad. I was maybe in the fifth semester or the sixth semester, and I just applied, and I got it. And after that is just a chain
One
reaction,
after
one
other.
thing doing the other. But if you notice, the first one was just by accident, and after that, I was you just apply. You don't have
Wow.
anything to lose. You might lose maybe 2 days like preparing the application, writing the letters, but just send it, send it, send it, send it, and eventually some of them
You get. Wow,
will
that's
hit.
amazing. Can
Yeah,
you
it
tell us,
was really funny.
and can you tell us how many applications have you applied in order to get all of this, well, 9 that you got positive response or positive feedback? I mean,
I
just
think,
an estimation, like,
yeah, I was quite lucky um, with my first applications, and most of them were like funded. But
okay,
also because I asked friends to check them. It's like, and that is something that you need to learn. Like, that is what I meant to work collaboratively. It's like,
okay.
just don't keep this is mine. That is a secret things. No, it's like usually your network is there to help you, and
Okay.
it's good for them to give to criticize your work, and by showing you why this is grown, you learn eventually. So that was really good. Later, when I started my PhD, I applied for some private or not private funding, but I just wanted to get my own money for developing my own research. Yeah, and I got 3 different rejections until I
Mm,
finally got
a positive
a
feedback.
positive response. So yeah, it depends what is for, because many of the grants that I applied first was for doing internships or organizing events.
Okay.
But when you apply for funding for research, they start to get really competitive. But something
Hmm.
that now that I'm part of the council of some societies, they are really keen of offering this kind of scholarships to Latin American students. I'm part of them, and I know the efforts that they are
That's
doing to do that.
interesting.
But not many Latin American students apply for that.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, it's like in many institutions have the funding, but
Yes.
not many people apply. First, there is a barrier, that is the language barrier, and that is something
Okay,
that we need
right
to face.
now, stop everything. Everyone who's watching or everyone who's gonna watch this, please pay attention to what Henry is it's talking about. There are lots of opportunities for Latin Americans, and not much people are applying for. So you guys are losing the chance to get some grants, scholarship, and have an opportunity to increase your career, to improve in your life, to get funded for your studies, for a good education, and and go around the world and explore the world, and make the difference in your life and people that are surrounding you. So come on, after this life, you go to Henry
Oh,
and talk to him. He will share all the channels. I'm kidding. So Henry, that's very, very interesting. So we have here Diane. Diane is saying that going abroad is amazing. You gain so much knowledge and life experience. Yeah, that's true, Diane. Right, Henry?
thank you.
And she also has a question for you. What was the
Mm.
toughest thing you faced arriving in Australia, Henry?
um, okay, okay. Let's talk first culturally. The language. You think that you know to speak English until you arrive to Australia,
Yes.
and you don't understand anything. People doesn't understand you. That is something that takes time. But people is really kind. They are really supportive. They take the time to talk to you, to pay attention to you, and don't let you down. but initially it's like, oh, yeah. And culturally, people is still warm, um, but our Latinos expectations are really high socially. We make friends really easily, and for
Yes,
us, like if you make a
we can
friend,
tell.
yes, exactly. Uh, and in a party, wherever, or in a social setting at the university, you expect that automatically you are like best friends forever, and it's like, no, no, no. Um, People have a different concepts of borders, like privacy borders, and being social doesn't mean to be friend, and just to get to know these cultural codes that people is friendly but not your friend. Eventually, yeah, you start to develop
Okay.
in your networks, and things start to happen like organically, but
Yeah.
we usually come straight away with that expectation, and that is something
Mhm.
that, yeah, that is like,
Yeah,
um,
it's kind of a different culture, so definitely, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty interesting the experience that you shared about how you got your grants. And but now I want to talk to you about, I would say, the most important one, which is the PhD scholarship that you were doing. You were pretty. I can tell. I can also. I think I can already call you as a doctor because you are almost finishing your
A
PhD.
few months away, but close.
So, I would like you to share with all of us the process to get the scholarship, because I know it's very competitive, especially in developed countries such as Australia and other countries in Europe and American universities. So, first of all, which type of scholarship did you apply? And the scholarship had a different application, otherwise, everything um, in the same application in the in within the university process, like
Okay.
for the PhD process.
Okay. When I decided to come here, there were like different options. When it came to the kind of scholarship, there are many countries offer like scholarships for their citizens, but they comes with some responsibilities. Most of the time, you need to go back to the country, um, or pay part of that scholarship later, or anyway, there are like compromises all the time with this kind of scholarships, and as well, I see this as a disadvantage. The currency changes constantly, and
Mhm.
for example, right now in Colombia we have the most expensive rate change of the dollar and the Colombian peso. So that is a tragedy for international students that are being
Mhm.
paid in Colombian pesos and spending their money in dollars,
Yes,
Australian dollars. Yeah.
I
So
know what it is. I know what I'm talking about.
yeah, that is something to think carefully about it. So I opted to apply for an scholarship that was offered by my university here, the University of Queensland. They have their own scholarship system. I
Okay.
applied to one of them. Is surprisingly so straightforward and easy, the process,
Wow.
because I was familiar to this kind of processes through other friends that they applied to
Yes.
United States or to European countries, and you have to take a lot of tests. Not only the English, is granted. You need to
It's
take one of
basic.
the
Yeah.
exams, TOEFL or IELTS, um, but there are I forget the names of this exam, standardized exam that you need to present in many uh, American universities. But anyway, you take need to take usually different
Oh, the
tests.
G, you're talking about the GMAT,
No, there is another one.
GMAT,
GRE,
no? Or
GRE.
GRE? No, no,
Yeah.
GRE is the it's not an exam.
Anyway, I forgot.
GMAT is the exam that they have.
Yeah, of general knowledge. But
Yeah.
anyway, you always see this as a really complicated, a long process.
Yeah.
But in Australia, actually, is really easy, really straightforward. My experience that was here only with the University of Queensland and pre-COVID, sadly or luckily for me, um, it, you just like fill up an online form. You create an username in the university page. They ask you some personal information. You just need to have the translation of your certificates, your diploma from the university, your grades. Um, that's it. You need to have the certificate of the English test, IELTS or TOEFL. Um, and the most important thing, because there is a dual process, being accepted to the university, being given the scholarship. Uh, the,
Okay.
the most
But the
important thing,
process is the same.
yeah, it's the same
Just one
process,
application.
only one application.
Okay.
Uh, the most important thing is like having uh, a professor, an academic at the university that previously you contacted, and that person agreed
Mm.
to accept you in case that the university accept you. Yeah, someone that just say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be your supervisor if you are accepted to this university." That should be always the first step. And for the scholarship, this is crazy. Is I didn't believe it when it happened to me. You just need, there is a question. There is a question in the application process that is like, do you want to be considered for the scholarship? And you just need to tick like, pep, and that's it.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's like really straightforward. And you just also need give the name and the email address of two person that can offer you a recommendation letter.
Okay.
You don't need to write a personal statement or a cover letter or yeah,
Oh, really?
that is common in other countries. But here at
Applications?
UC,
Yeah.
you don't need to write that. You just need to have
So,
like the being backed up by an academic and
yes.
having this test and
And your
this.
project, of course, your research project.
No, you don't need to specify that. The university will ask you to your potential supervisor is like, okay, if we accept Henry, what would be the potential project that this person will work on? But that is something that will
Okay.
be asked to the person that you nominated as your supervisor. You don't need
Oh, okay.
to care
So in
about it.
your case, basically, you start a project that I was already undergoing. I mean, it was already planned in the lab, like for, or no? Oh, okay.
No, my supervisor just wrote it in general terms because, oh yeah, I
Okay.
work in this kind of research, and if Henry
Okay.
comes, he would work in this kind of questions. But it should not be. It's not necessarily something that is already ongoing. Because what I
Okay.
did pretty much my first year of the PhD is like designing my own experiments and my own project.
Okay. So that's interesting because, well, even for me, it's a new information because I thought that for every application, PhD application process, it was compulsory to submit a research project. So yeah, it's very, very new. So probably it varies from school to school as well. Maybe
Probably.
I'm not sure.
No, actually, because I applied to the graduate school, that is the one that offers
Yes.
as well the scholarship. But okay, I did this process in 2017. I don't
Okay.
know how things might have changed since that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a good point. And once you received your positive response, how was your like expectations to move to another country? Well, you had been in Spain, you said, right? You spent like a couple times, but it was Spanish as well. So for you, it was okay.
Yeah.
So, but how was like when you received, oh, you got the scholarship? How was the impact on your life to move to Australia and visa and everything?
Yeah. It's tremendous. It's like wow, it's real, it's happening. You need to to start working on that. And yeah, I think that this is this boring part that is the paperwork with the visas. If
Yeah.
you have like this letter of the university that they say, oh yeah, you were accepted here and you will stay here for 4 years, 4.5 years. It's a straightforward. The application process for the Australian visa is pretty much granted unless there are like strong reasons for the government not to want you in the country. But I've never met anyone that has been like rejected in these kind of situations. It's expensive. In Colombian pesos was expensive for me. I have to save, and some friends lend me money and so on. Because you need to have like some medical checkouts. If you don't
Okay.
have tuberculosis, the X-rays, and blah blah blah, and just to make sure about it. And there are most of the time there is in Colombia there was only one physicians or a clinic where you
Okay.
could go in the whole country. So if you
Oh,
don't live
wow.
in the capital, you need to travel
Okay.
there to plan these kind of things or interview. So that might be a little bit
It's
expensive.
just one who is accredited by the Australian government.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
my change when I did it, we didn't have an embassy of
Okay.
Australia in Colombia,
Mhm.
so everything was through the embassy in Chile. So it
Okay.
takes as well like longer
Yeah. Even more
because
money.
you need to ship the documents and waiting back for the response and so on. And the second part is the travel. Traveling here is expensive and long, and usually the cheapest way is through the United States. And
Okay.
so that is another application for another visa, because even though if you are
Okay, I
going
got it.
to stop by in an airport, you need a visa for that. So you
Yes.
just need to add that to the calculation or explore other options. You can travel through Chile, or through Qatar, and yeah,
Okay.
now there are like more options, but you need to explore that. Yeah, and that note was really funny because my trip took like I got the confirmation that I got the scholarship, and pretty much I have to be in Australia the next month just
Oh,
to
wow.
start.
That close,
But
that short time. Wow.
yes, and the notification of the visa took forever, so I have to buy my ticket really late, and the cheapest one was a nightmare because it was 4 days. I went everywhere and I
Really?
stopped in every possible airport in the world, here, like stepping stones until I finally got it. Yeah.
Goodness. That's because you, by the time, you didn't know me. Otherwise, you could have some traveling tips,
Yeah.
especially using miles.
Yeah. Do you know there something that helped me was the International Migration Organization, and a friend gave me that information and was really useful because I told them, okay, I have this certificate, I was accepted to this university in Australia and I need to travel there. Can you help me to book a ticket? And usually
Oh,
this international migration organization, yeah, I think
organization.
that is the
It's a
name.
UN branch.
Say
It's a
yes,
branch from the United States. Oh, the
yes, it
United
is a branch
Nations.
of them. So they book a ticket for me and they got pretty much like half price. But the thing is that
Wow.
they book for you and they send you an email, and you have 24 hours to pay for that booking. Otherwise,
Wow.
you lose it. So you need to have like the cash in your hand
Okay.
when you do that. But it's really, really meaningful,
Helpful.
the
Yeah.
discount that they get to you. And in my case, they say, okay, we cannot cover the whole trip that you need to do, but we can get you this discount from Bogota to Los Angeles,
Okay.
and the rest is up to you. So there are this kind of options that many people is not aware of, and I think that
Yeah,
that
that's
should
a
work in
very, very good
every
tip.
country.
That's a very good information. It's helping people to achieve their, well, it's totally unfair if you cannot afford for a ticket or whatever before you travel to get your scholarship and get your education. And Henry, tell us what are, first of all, tell us what exactly it's your research in. What do you do for your research?
Okay, I work with evolutionary biology, the origin of new species, how new species arise, or the species that already exist keep existing over time. Um,
Wow, it's a
and
cutting edge.
yeah, it's a pretty basic question, because has been always in us, like, oh, how this biodiversity arise, where it comes
Yeah.
from, that fascination that you have, like when you are a kid, where all these exuberant forests come from. Yeah, pretty much that is my questions, and the system that I use to answer them are plants. So I work with a daisy. Oh, I don't have pictures of them here, sadly. um, yeah, with a margarita species, a daisy, in the coast of Australia, and I do experiments, because if we wonder, if I want to know where how is the origin of new species, the first question is like, what is an species? And the most common definition is a really tricky question, but let's assume that the classical definition is like, one species is one group of organisms that doesn't interbreed with other group. So there are barriers for the interbreeding, or or to crosses between them. So what I'm doing
Okay.
is taking different populations or groups of these plants, and I'm doing pollination experiments. So I have a
Oh.
huge glass house full of plants, and I just cross them, and I just check what is the pattern of them, of producing offspring. And my approach is trying to see if there are like kind of make choice of implants, if a particular female can be picky. It's
Yes.
like, oh no, I'm not going to,
It
I
must
don't
be
like your
so
pollen,
funny.
and I'm not going to produce it. Or yes, and just pretty much checking what are the traits that make a particular cross successful and others a failure. And that might give me like clues of how the plants keep them apart to each other, and that promote the origin of new species of plants.
That's amazing. It
Yeah,
must be
it's
very,
quite
very nice.
fascinating, because we are used to know to study this in animals, or we humans, we make decisions. Oh, I like this person, I don't like this person. So you make decision. Birds, you can see the birds of paradise, or the hummingbirds of any animal that can make a displace to conquest, like the female usually are the males trying to compete for gaining the attention of a female, because animals make decision. But do plants make decisions? And that is like the question, like how.
That's very intriguing. Interesting. And Henry, now that you told us this, I would like to know more about your future expectations, your future perspectives in your career. Do you do you think, first of all, are you gonna do you wanna keep working in the academia, or do you have expectation to work as in the government, industry, or whatever? Well, in this area, probably, I don't know, it might be just academia or government.
Yeah, I think that my first option, what I want to pursue, is like a life in academy. Most of the time is linked to a university of a research institution. um, yeah, I really like that. We everyone knows that might be stressful, and getting a life work balance is really hard if you are full time in academy. But yeah, that is what I want to continue looking for.
Okay.
But working with government is something that I'm also keen of, because as I told you, when I graduated from biology and before starting my PhD, I was
Yeah.
working more than 2 years with a governmental institute, research institute.
Okay.
I kind of like that, because it's like connecting the research, the basic research, with the decision makers, and it's trying to give
Okay.
an impact to the research, because I really
That's
enjoy,
very nice.
because the intellectual joy of doing research, exploring this, how the hell these plants is doing a decision. It's really fascinating questions, but as well, if we something that I enjoy equally is trying to translate that knowledge to decisions of the environmental positions or yeah, inform policy makers pretty much.
Okay. And you told us in the beginning that there are some compromise that you have to assume in order to get a scholarship. In your case, you have to be back in your country.
No, this scholarship is free of everything. I
Okay.
mean, I
And
graduated and
it's
I'm completely
RTP,
free.
right?
Say again, please.
RTP, your scholarship?
What do you mean by that?
RTP, it's a research training program scholarship.
Probably I don't know the name. Yeah, but pretty much you don't have any commitment. Your commitment is like you are paid for doing your research.
And after you finish in Australia, I know something that you can stay for a while in Australia when you study in Australia and you're graduating in Australia. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, there is like I mean, this is a wonderful country, and when someone was asking about what is the toughest part of this experience, I can tell
Yes.
you what is as well the wonderful part. That is like we do research usually in Latin America, in Colombia, in Brazil. I went once, and Argentina, and anyway, everywhere, Panama, Mexico, with really limited resources and most of the
Yes.
time not with the best research infrastructure. And coming here is like wow, it's like they have everything that you need to do your experiments. And if a
It's a
particular
paradise
yeah, and
for
if
a
a
researcher, for a
particular
scientist.
experiment needs to get these reagents, you need to buy this. You just need to justify, oh yeah, I need this for my experiments, and you get it. So it's like, yeah, it's crazy. It's mind blowing when you arrive here and you have like this kind of access that, yeah, that potential, yeah, to make out the
Potentialize,
most
yeah.
of your
Yes.
stay here. So one of those, there are different opportunities for people that just finished their PhD, and there is a category of visa that is called the postgraduate visa, that you
Okay.
can stay in the country for the same amount of time that your degree took. So if you did a master, you can stay 2 or 3 years extra, or if you did a
Okay.
PhD, is like 3, 4, or probably up to 5 years after you finish your PhD. Just
Okay.
to keep gaining experience, and because this is the other side of the story, is really straightforward, really focus on research, the PhD here in Australia, but you don't take classes. So the PhD is really short. You
Oh,
and that is so naive. You are supposed to finish your PhD in 3 years. That is
yeah.
crazy.
It's pretty short.
But most of the people take 4 years. For international students, that is like the hard limit. So I'm going to be 4 years now in December. I need to finish my PhD, but it's still really short if you compare with the time that a PhD takes in the United States. People, I have friends that have taken more than 6 or 7 years finishing
Oh,
their
wow.
PhD. But compared with an Australian one, it's really short and really focused. It's like, bam, like be
It's
really
this,
in
that, and
in your
done.
research and that. And I think that this kind of visa that you can stay longer are really helpful just to keep gaining more experience.
Mhm.
And yeah, and the things that probably because you were really time constrained during your PhD and you couldn't work in enough detail. Oh yeah, probably I can stay here as a postdoc or as a research assistant for a little bit longer and finishing
Okay.
this and this and this, and then growing or building up a stronger CV just to apply for
That's
other
interesting. And do you
positions
have
later.
plans to extend?
Yeah, most likely I will stay a few years extra, working in research here at
And do
UQ.
you think it's going to be hard for you to find opportunities in Australia? I know
Um,
now it's a different. It's well, we can tell because now we are living in a very particular case because of COVID. So there is no international students coming to Australia. So do you think it's gonna be easier or well, you have been in Australia for 4 years, pretty much. So, how easy is to find something after your PhD? From you,
Mm,
from the experience that you have seen from others, or in the
yeah, yeah,
academic
yeah.
life.
The people that I know that have stayed, oh, they have made well. Um, there is something that is really cool here in Australia. That is like there are opportunities other than just working in a university. Of course, there are many postdoc positions. There is what most of the people try to apply to, but there are many research institutes. There is the CSIRO that is like an institution
Mm,
that is in all across all Australia, and they have like this permanent position that is focused only in research. So not necessarily it's a university, but you are like just an employed by the government to do research. So there are heaps of those opportunities. Recently, there was a call, and they have more than 40 open positions of
wow.
people with a PhD. So constantly,
40,
the
40.
yeah, 40. So and
Oh,
they
wow.
constantly take it in
That's a
different
lot.
fields.
Yeah.
So that is really cool that you can find these positions, and you also can find many industry at the industry level opportunities. People that
Okay.
feel more keen of working with industry, you find at the doctorate level many
Okay.
many positions there. For example, to improve the yield of crops in agriculture. So the things that I have learned working with my
Mm,
plants and my daisies and doing the crosses and analyzing
okay.
the genetic variation in that is pretty much the same tools that I can apply to
To the
improve
agriculture.
crops in
Oh,
agriculture. And
wow.
that is the industry. And if I feel it like that is a potential field that I can explore. Yeah, many of the friends that I know that have stayed, they have found easily something to do with their
That's
PhD.
amazing. It's science being applied to the industry.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you just need to open a little bit your mind. That is like,
Yeah.
because usually in Colombia you see, or in Latin America you see that all the opportunities of people that finish their
Yes.
PhD are around the university. But here is
Yes.
like the university, of course, offer a lot of opportunities, but as well beyond the university you can find also niche to go.
Yeah, that's true. And I've seen this as well at UQ during my time there. Many people they leave the university because they get a more well-paid job. For
Oh yes.
example, I was working the Center for Policy Futures, and one of the researchers there, she got an offer in the government. So now she's working for the government and she earning much more money than she was making at the university. So yeah, absolutely, the country is amazing for that. So last question, I would like to ask you, how is life in Brisbane? How is life in Queensland? Tell us.
I'm
At
going to be
UQ.
really honest. I didn't know a single thing about Brisbane before I came here.
Oh,
I came
really?
because the supervisor, my supervisor, I'm working with, I really like his research, and I was pretty much following him. His human quality as well is outstanding. And if I just want to make that parenthesis, it's really important that before picking up one university, you pick up one supervisor. Not only because that supervisor need to give you the approval to be accepted to the university, but it's because you emotional connection and your professional success later in life will depend on the human quality of that person. So take the time, check the website of the people that you are interested in that has been publishing papers in your particular field. And something that I encourage and many people encourage to everyone is like, send an email to the students. If usually they have a web page, and send an email,
Oh.
how is this person, and like tell me like gossiping or what. And if you will get the vibe. It's like, it's a good environment, it's a place that I really want to be in, or you feel like there is tension there, is like,
Mhm.
there, no, because the PhD could be hell for many people depending their connection with their supervisor. So
Oh
that
wow,
might be the most important thing. So
that's a very important tip. So
yeah,
you send in mail, you contact their well, any researcher supervised um, how can I say, students, and then you can check how he
yes,
is.
yeah.
That's very very
Yes.
nice
How
tip.
is the environment? Because yeah,
Yeah,
I know cases of people that come and the relationship is not good at all, and yeah,
and
it's un
Brisbane.
infierno. It's hell. But anyway, yeah, closing that parenthesis. Yeah, no, Brisbane is wonderful. It's like the only thing that I have disliked so far is that in the hottest day of summer, it's really hot. But there are some good days, like because it's humid. It's not because it's hot, yes, but you can't deal with hot weather. But when it's hot and humid, it's like, oh my god, you don't want to be chill. But there are like some particular days, and in my case was relevant because I was working in a glass house. So I have to be under the sun working, doing my
Oh
experiment. So
wow.
that killed me. But I'm done with that part. But really friendly, really friendly. Everyone, as I told you initially, you just need to pick those social conventions of what is
Yeah.
being friendly, what is being friend, what is being polite. But everyone here is really friendly, really smiley. The bus driver, hello, bye bye. So it's like I love it. It's like I didn't expect finding this place that warm. And I've traveled before coming here several times through Europe, and people is chill depending the country where you are, but it's more toward the side of being a little bit cold. They are still polite but cold. But here,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if it is whether because the temperature, because it's warm, that also translate to the people that is like more
It must
tropical,
be.
more Mediterranean, probably we might say. And something fantastic of this city is the outdoors. You're really close to the beach. You can go to Gold Coast or to islands just off the coast of Australia. There is paradise. It's like the beaches are really,
Stunning.
really good. And the national parks, there are heaps of national parks around the city. And if you drive, you just go 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, and you are, wow, what is this? So you have like this connection with the nature. And as well, this is a really developed like city with heaps of cultural opportunities, really good museums, yeah,
Cultural life.
cultural life, yeah. So
Yeah.
and events running all the time. This festival, multicultural festival. So there is a festival of the Latin community, and the next month there is a festival of the Taiwanese community, and so on and so on. So constantly you are getting in touch with the culture of the world.
That's amazing. You just make me remind of
Come back, come
UQ.
back.
I left UQ, but UQ it's with me. Oops. Yeah, like this. So before we finish, I would like to ask everyone to subscribe in my channel, like this video, share with people that who wants to know and want to get knowledge and tips how to get grants and scholarship. And I want to thank you so much, Henry, for being part of this conversation, this talk. And oh, usually I ask people to leave a message just to finish. Just give us like a message for to encourage people, especially the Latin Americans, to apply and
Hmm.
try their best and get a scholarship.
Yeah, I think that's something that we underappreciate in ourselves is how eager we are of knowledge, because most of the things that we have gotten, we have fought for them. You have to do extra efforts to get this book or to get access to this knowledge, and because you didn't know English, you have to learn English to learn this particular concept. So most of the time you have invested a lot on things, and you can tell how passionate a Latin American student is. No matter what is their field, they're really passionate about what they are doing. And we, given how is our university systems, we get a lot of research experience during our undergrad. So that places us in a really, really good position. Latin American students are really well valued and regarded around the world. For me, it was impressive. The first time that I did internships around the world, is like every single lab had a Colombian, and they really are happy with them because they work really well in teams and brings good idea and a good vibe. And that is something that we are not aware of, because we are constantly comparing with the productivity of other researchers. Oh yeah, of course they have heaps of resources, but we, as an individual student researchers, we have a huge potential. So, and that is something that we don't realize until we are here and we start like, oh yeah, no, but I like this, I already watched this, and I didn't know, I already did knew that, and so on.
Maybe we were taught this by the world, but it's time to go through it.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Eric, for the invitation.
Thank
And
you
for
so
being a
much,
wonderful host.
Eric,
Muito
and
obrigado.
hopefully see you again in Brazil or Colombia or in the world.
Oh, please.
Ciao.
Okay, ciao, ciao.